Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sarthaya Marjunasya Kurvan Gita Mitam Dado Lokatre Upakaraya Tasmai Krishna Atmane Namaha Hare Krishna. So we begin the third chapter, and very interestingly, because today is also the day when the world is celebrating yoga, but most of the people do not know what is the real true meaning of yoga. Yoga does not mean to just keep yourself fit. Yoga comes from the Sanskrit word which means yujing, and yuj means to connect. And if you see every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it talks about yoga. The first chapter is called Arjun Vishad Yoga. So Arjuna is having so much of lamentation and depression, but in that condition also he is able to connect with Krishna. Second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. We covered these two chapters. And the third chapter today we will cover is the Karma Yoga. So in every section, in every chapter, in every verse of Bhagavad Gita, there is an opportunity to perform the real yoga of our union, our connection with Krishna. Just a brief recap. So in the first section, in the first chapter, Krishna enlightened Arjuna and told him to redefine success. If somebody asks, do we have a sense of success? And is it possible? A big question is that in our life, in our practical living, is it possible to be successful and still feel unhappy? Is it possible to be successful and still feel unhappy? What do you feel about it? If I ask all of you, what do you say? What is the possibility of being so-called success and still remaining unhappy or dissatisfied at the heart? Please speak. Is it possible or it is not possible? What do you say? Purushottam?
Yes, so is it possible? Oh,
It's possible. Yes, it's possible. Why? Because if we have wrong definitions of success or if we have wrong understanding of success. And the worst type of success is when you achieve so-called success by fulfilling the goals and then you realize they are not your goals. They were not meant for you. So either we can pursue the path which is not success, or we can utilize it in a wrong way. In both the case, we cannot experience happiness or satisfaction of the heart. So that success which can make us happy, that success which can satisfy our heart, Krishna enlightens Arjuna in the first chapter. And actually, how to realize that what is success? First, we have to realize what is our real identity. What is our identity? Our identity is beyond body, beyond mind. It is the eternal self, which is the soul. And Krishna also enlightened that our identity can only be realized if we perform our duties, which is called karma. And the very famous verse that we saw in the second chapter, karmanne vadikaras, that you have the right to perform your prescribed duties. So in this chapter, Krishna will again enlighten through Arjuna all of us that how we have to perform that action of karma, so that it becomes yoga. Today the buzzword is yoga. So how do we perform action which becomes yoga? Action which is performed in yoga, it becomes our dharma. That is the message of Bhagavad Gita. That's what we have to do. We have to reposition ourselves, our lifestyle, our living, our everyday activity, so that in every action we can connect with the Supreme Lord. So it becomes Karma Yoga. So this chapter begins with Arjuna's doubt. It is very interesting that first let me tell you what this chapter we will see. Key learnings of this chapter is that can spiritual life be practiced in my current situation? And then it talks about yoga, connecting with Supreme, the true sinless path. And most importantly is, as I said, repositioning our lifestyle is to set a good example, an icon, a role model for others to follow. And in this spiritual path, if we initiate, if we begin, then there are many obstacles, many challenges. So what is that biggest challenge? Why we are not able to pursue the path, even though we may have the intent? So this chapter is divided mainly into 4 sections. The first section speaks about Arjuna wanting to run away from his duty. He is saying about renunciation. Which is better, renunciation or work? And then Krishna will explain the yoga ladder. That how while performing action, one can accelerate in his consciousness. How he can become enlightened. So that is the ladder. Ladder means the elevation, escalation and elevation. So Krishna gives the process of the cycle of performing sacrifice. Very beautiful section. And very important section that we will discuss today is the exemplary lifestyle. And repositioning ourselves for an exemplary lifestyle, performing prescribed duties with detachment, to set an example for others to follow, which is very rare. And then in this path, what is the biggest obstacle or challenge? There are 43 verses. It is relatively a mid-size chapter, not so big as the second chapter. So Arjuna begins this chapter by asking a doubt. Arjuna inquires from Krishna and he first puts a doubt. So this tendency of doubting is actually very good. The spiritual practitioners, they accept that if there is intelligence, if one is having sharpened intelligence, he will question. He will question. It is not that he will blindly accept and follow. There must be some questioning. That is the sign of awakening. It is called samshaya. And after he has the doubt, then he must find out that what is the correct apprehension, what is the solution, which is called nishchaya. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the correct path, the nishchaya, that what we should be doing and in what way. That Krishna will guide us in this path. So Arjuna puts this question, the first question Arjuna puts. He says that in the second chapter, you spoke about performing action, karmane vadhikaraste. And then you also spoke about buddhi yoga. Duren hi avaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya. In the 49th verse. So you please clarify to me that which is better? Is to renounce the action or to perform the action? Actually, Arjuna misunderstood the spiritual conception which Krishna gave, which normally all of us do. In our spiritual pursuit, what we do, we normally miss the point. The point which Krishna told Arjuna is to perform action, but in the spirit of renunciation, of detachment. And what Arjuna is thinking? Renunciation of action, not performing one duty. So Arjuna is very, very honest. He's a very sincere person. So he's not taking his decision on his own. This is a life lesson for all of us. If we are in doubt, we should not decide on our own. Because whenever we are in doubt and we decide, what will be the result? The result will be disastrous. But Arjuna put this question to Krishna to clarify. In the first two verses, Arjuna puts this question and he says, my intelligence is bewildered. So you please tell me decisively what will be the most beneficial for me. This is the actual sign of intelligence, is to consult. Consult someone who is superior, who is more knowledgeable, and who is with more experience. And particularly person who is spiritually situated. So Arjuna put this question and Krishna says that abstaining just by giving up one's duty, one cannot achieve freedom from reactions, which Arjuna was immaturely thinking. Nor by renunciation alone can one achieve perfection. And why is it so? Krishna gives a very prominent reason. That is the 5th verse of this chapter. Krishna says, Nahi kashti shanamapi jatu tishtanti akarmapit karate hi avasha karma sarve prakriti charve. If you see in our experience also in this life, that we are forced. Many times we don't have the intent to do what we end up doing. But there seems to be an invisible force, an invisible push, or an invisible jerk, which forces us to act. And how one is acting? Helplessly. But we don't know who is triggering that action. Krishna reveals it is the guna. It is the modes of the material nature. So no one can refrain from doing anything, something, not even for a moment. Actually, till the time the soul is there in the body is also active. The character of soul is activity. It cannot be inert. Actually, what is the difference between a dead man and a live person, a living person, is the presence of soul. So even when we sleep, during the night when we sleep. So what happens? Physically, the body is dead. It is lying on the bed. But still, one activity is happening. What is that? What activity do you experience in the night? All of us? Speak. What activity do we experience in the night when we are lying on the bed, almost unconscious? You can unmute and speak. And you seem to be inactive now. Vijay is saying, respire. You can switch on your video, Vijay. Yeah. Let us have your darshan. So we are breathing. Not only we are breathing, sometimes we are dreaming also. That means what? That maybe the physical body is not active, but the subtle body, the mind is active. So Krishna tells Arjuna that there is no possibility of anyone to be completely inactive, not even for a moment. So it is must for you to perform action. You cannot refrain from not performing your action. And he says that one who restrains the senses by not performing his prescribed actions, but his mind dwells on the sense objects. You get the point? Like we see today's scenario, there are so many so-called renunciates or monks or sadhus, as we call it. So what they do, they do they are not earning. They are not, working some. Ultimately, what they end up, they are exposed. Either they are into drinking, or they are into, some adultery, or they are trying to siphon off money. Very recently, we have the big scam, which is happening in the Ram temple in Ayodhya. So such people who are supposed to be completely renunciate to serve the Lord. So there are two categories of such people. Those who are true renunciates, and the other ones are the fake ones. So Krishna tells Arjuna that don't become a fake renunciate. You try to be real one. How? By performing your action with a sense of detachment. That nothing belongs to you. But you see, these people, they are faith and trust. They are donating that it will be used for the purpose of Lord Ram. And what they are doing? They are siphoning off that money to do sense gratification. The Bhagavad Gita very strongly in the 3rd chapter, it says that such people are pretenders. They are mithyacharis. So he is warning Arjuna that don't become such a mithyachari. Don't give up your responsibilities, your duties, and try to run away. Don't become an escapist. And in this way, Krishna tells Arjuna that you cannot even maintain your physical body without performing work. And then, okay, so this real renunciation is renunciation from possessiveness, from trying to be the owner, enjoyer of what we have. But it does not mean to stop the activities. So, okay. So there are many myths that we have. Sometimes people feel that if we take to the spiritual life, then what we have to do? We have to renounce everything, like Arjuna is saying. No, that is not the truth. Spiritual advancement is determined by purity of our thoughts, our intent, and our consciousness. But those who are not purified by performing their duties, those who are not detached, so what they do? They only create disturbance in the society. So how to perform duty? Krishna gives a very important verse. This is the 9th verse in this chapter. Krishna says, perform your work in such a beautiful and dutiful way that it becomes a sacrifice. Yajna. He says, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. You should perform your work as sacrifice. Sacrifice does not just mean that you have fire and you are saying swaha, swaha, swaha. That is also one type of sacrifice. But sacrifice actually means work done for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That the enjoyer is not the person who is performing sacrifice, but the enjoyer is the Supreme Lord. So work done as sacrifice for Vishnu or Krishna, it makes one release from the bondage of work. So Krishna inspires Arjuna and enlightens Arjuna that you fight not for the purpose of winning the kingdom, but you fight for the purpose of your duty to establish dharma. If Maharaj Yudhishthir, who is the personality of dharma personified, if he becomes the king, then there is possibility of all the praja, all of them to become sinless, because they will have good example to follow. But if Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan remains on the throne, then people will be inclined to perform all sinful act. They will go to hell and suffer. So the real way of developing detachment while performing action, which is called yajna. Yajna is also what yoga means. Yoga means to connect. And what is the way to connect? Is by performing yajna. If you don't perform yajna, then there is no yoga. Why? Because in yajna, the bhokta is Krishna. In the 5th chapter, Krishna will speak, Bhoktaram Yagatapsa. And when we are not performing yajna, we are performing karma, then who is the bhokta? The bhokta is the self. So if we perform yajna, then we are offering the results to the Supreme Lord. And then what is the effect of it? That there is no sin involved. It becomes purified. It becomes, it gives us the knowledge. From yajna, we receive the knowledge of the soul. So life lesson is that how to perform yajna? By balancing the duties of body, mind, and the soul. How? By offering the results of one's daily work in service to God. This is where we will discuss the most today. That how practically, while performing normal actions, how we can perform yajna and how we can be situated in yoga. Karma means action. So while performing all kinds of normal action, how we can make that action become yajna, and by performing yajna, we connect with Krishna in yoga. So that becomes karma yoga. The first and the most easiest thing Krishna says is, Krishna gives the cycle of yajna. So he says, yajna sishta shina santo muchyate sarva kilvashe bhunjate dham papa ye pachanti atma karana. So it says yajna to the devotees of the Lord, those who are performing their duties. So what they do, whatever they eat, before they eat, they offer it to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And they are released from all kinds of sins. Because the food that we are receiving, the grains that we are receiving, the fruits that we are receiving, the milk, the water, whatever we intake, what we are receiving, Is it because of us that we are producing? No. It is being generated because of the material nature. The Prakriti gives us the facility of producing rain. Like we have sunlight. Without sunlight, we cannot sustain. Our body cannot live. There cannot be any cultivation. So do we pay the bill of sunlight? In our life, what will be the bill of sunlight? Electricity department, every month we are paying. Yes or no? But has anyone paid for the sunlight that we have received in our life? We are breathing. Every moment we are taking in oxygen. Sometimes when we have respiratory problem, we have to take oxygen from outside in the hospital. Few kgs of oxygen and so many hundreds of rupees. So what about the lifespan of oxygen that we have taken? Who will pay that bill? So in this way, we are taking so much of resources for our necessary existence, but we are not offering it back to someone else, and we put it in our use. Then what is the effect? That we are considered to be thief. As a thief. So if we offer everything which we receive from the nature to Krishna and then accept, then all that sin, all that misappropriation is released. Because Krishna is the source. He is the fountainhead of the material nature also and of all the demigods who are providing this also. Krishna will speak that Bhoktaram Yakatapsham Sarvalok Maheshwara. And Ahami Adi Devana Maheshinam Chasarvasha. That I am the source of all the sages and all the demigods. And we utilize it for our own benefit, for our own enjoyment, then we will be subject to the reaction. So it says, Ye pachanti atma karana. Bhunjate tuva agam. So those who do not offer this yajna, those who do not make this yajna of prasadam, or it is called naivedya, offering to the deities, then they are preparing food only for personal enjoyment and they are only eating sins. So Krishna is giving the yoga ladder. How to move forward? First and very simple thing, that you whatever you prepare, you offer to Krishna. So there are on two levels people are living. One, those who are living with full of sins by not offering to the Supreme Lord. Just trying to extract from him Sukha Sampati Ghare Aave, Kashta Mite Tahta. Om Jai Jagadisha. Yes. So these people are called karmis. And the others, those who are living a sinless life by an offering of yajna. So they are on the level of karmi yoga. But both of them, they are maintaining themselves. One is in white, that is an angel, and the other is in red. He's a demon. Activities may be the same, but what is different? The difference is of the intent and the consciousness behind the activity. We don't have to change the activity, but what we have to change? We have to change the consciousness, the intent behind which we are performing the activities. So in the last session also we discussed that what we have to perform? We have to perform two duties. That is Swadharma, that is on the bodily platform, and the other is the Sanatan Dharma, which is the spiritual platform. So what is Swadharma? Related to our occupation, our immediate duties, what the world expects from us. And what is this Sanatana Dharma? It is the realization of the self as soul. It is the spiritual practice. And both should go together. This is what is the repositioning of our lifestyle. Because if we do one and we ignore the other, then we cannot have the real success. What to speak of success? We will not be able to have our real identity. So both continues side by side. And why we perform these two duties, or which is called as yajna, it releases us from all kinds of dualities and doubts. If we see in this world, every moment we are checkmated with doubt and negativity in our heart. What is the cause of it? The cause of it is not performing sacrifice or yajna. And then it helps us to become Krishna conscious. It helps us, if we become Krishna conscious, then we can become detached. If we remain Krishna unconscious, then we remain attached. We remain attached to all our bad qualities, to our sinful propensities. So those who are not performing here, they are just like animals who are busy in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, not caring about what would be the reaction of it, or what would be the future of it. Such people do not trust the scriptures, the Vedas, they don't read Bhagavad Gita. They have only one purpose to live, and that is the purpose of this world is to enjoy. And of course, they cannot think anything beyond their own self. Self meaning their body and mind. So the other life lesson is that morality without spirituality is just self-centered. But the next level, so how the yoga ladder begins? The yoga ladder begins from the first step, which is called karma kand. So what is karma kand? That the mentality does not change. The mentality is the same. The mentality is to enjoy this world. But how to enjoy? Through the authorized process. Through the authorized process. What is the authorized process? That which is prescribed in the scriptures. But there is no spiritual connection. Because there is no desire to connect to the Supreme Lord or offer him any offerings. So the next level is Sakam Karma Yoga. Lower level was Karma Kand, but there is Karma Yoga. Yoga means connection with Krishna. So how there is connection? That we perform action, but whatever result we get, we offer it to the Supreme Lord. Like someone is having salary. If we are working, we are performing action. So we receive recognition and reward. We receive salary. So how do people become? How the Karma Yoga begins? Every time they are feeling that their salary is less, they want more salary. So many times people come, most of the time, what many times, most of the time people come. If they want a salary hike, they want to go to their boss and say that please increase my salary. But the boss does not agree. The boss does not agree. So what they do, they sometimes come to the temple and they bring some offering. Some 100 rupees prasadam they will buy and offer it to the Lord and say that please increase my salary every month by 10,000 rupees. So what they are doing? To get 10,000 rupees, they are spending 100 rupees. This is 1%. So this is called Sakam Karma. The idea is the desire is to enjoy. But out of what they are gaining, little they want to offer to Krishna. चलो आप भी क्या याद रखोगे? हमने आपको 100 रुपए का प्रसाद चढ़ा दिया. Yoga begins. How much is the yoga? 1%. But another important thing is that he is accepting the authority of the Supreme Lord. He says what he cannot get it done on his own. If he comes and he requests the Supreme Lord has more power, he has more potential, he can get it done. So there is some selfish motive, but there is an element of sacrifice. How much is the element of sacrifice? 1%. Just 1%. So he has come to the platform of yoga. So yoga begins. Like we first come to class 1. No one directly comes to PhD. Have you seen anyone is starting from PhD? No. Comes to start class 1, class 2. But you should not remain in class 1 the entire life. That we will only give 1% donation. That too only if there is increase. Otherwise we will not. Then we will be subject to reaction. And the second aspect of Karma Yoga is called Nishkam Karma. So Sakam means there is burning desire to enjoy. Nishkam means that the desire to enjoy is not. Then what is the desire? The desire is to serve. So this is a big jump. It is a big elevation. Like coming from schooling, coming to graduation. Schooling is over and you have come to graduation. So here he earns, but he keeps only that is necessary for himself. And the balance he gives for the service of the Supreme Lord. And this gives him the sense of detachment. He does not think that what he has earned is his. He thinks it has come because of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So he should engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. So two things are coming. One is detachment, and second is the knowledge. Knowledge about the Supreme Lord and about himself. That we will discuss in the 4th chapter. Very systematically, Bhagavad Gita flow is moving. So in this chapter, Krishna is enlightening Arjuna how to reposition his activity, his lifestyle. So that while performing the same kind of activity, outwardly it may look same, but inwardly the intent is not the same. The intent is to satisfy the Supreme. It is not selfish. That is called Nishkam Karma. So Krishna brings Arjuna to the platform of performing Nishkam Karma Yoga. And he says that if you perform this Nishkam Karma Yoga, then you will come to the transcendental platform. In the 15th verse, he says that regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, all providing transcendence is eternally situated in the acts of sacrifice. So one will come to the transcendental platform if he is performing Nishkam Karma. And before that, he is on the material platform. And those who do not lead this life of Nishkam Karma Yoga, they are always bound by the reaction of their action. They cannot be freed. They cannot understand that they are not these bodies, they are soul. That is why when we meet people so many times, there is a big bewilderment. People may speak, people may hear also, people may discuss also, but understanding is not there. Why? Because the calm is there. We will see in the next phase. Krishna will explain about it. So very important is to come to the level of Nishkam Karma Yoga. From Sakam Karma Yoga, coming to Nishkam Karma Yoga. This is repositioning our lifestyle. Not trying to enjoy and exploit everything for our own body and mind. Body is going to die. It has taken birth. It has a date of manufacturing. And with the date of manufacturing, there is also the date of expiry. So, with the date of expiry, we are never asking this question that what will be the result after this body is over. There are two sides of our life. One is the immediate side, this physical body, which we see in this world, the present body. And then there is the ultimate. What is the ultimate? That is not physical body, it is metaphysical. After we leave this body, then what will be the effect of it? So that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. It helps us to come to the realization that we are beyond body and mind. If we don't perform Nishkam Karma Yoga, there is no possibility of ever understanding that we are not this body. So it binds us, it grinds us. So then Krishna speaks that we need to have some examples. How do we know? How do we see? That we need to have some good examples, some icons, some living legends, those who are actually on the platform of transcendence. So Krishna says that very beautiful verse, Yad Yad Acharati Sreshta Tat Tat Eva Tarojana Sayat Pramanam Kurte Lokastad Anuvartate. That whatever action a great man performs, common man follows. And whatever standard he sets, by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So this is what we are facing in this present moment. There is a complete crisis of good examples. Those who teach us with example, they are called acharyas. Acharyas mean those who teach with the example. They follow the principle first in their own life. And then they inspire others to follow their path. This is what Krishna wants Arjuna to do. To become a good example, to set a right example. So this is the exemplary lifestyle of not only remaining to the lower level, like you have seen a child, a small child. Whatever you give him, what he will do? He will grab it and try to put it in his mouth. He has only this consciousness that if he eats, he can enjoy. You give him anything, where he will take that item, he will take it in the mouth because he has only one understanding. That if he can eat, he can be happy, he can enjoy. But as we mature or as we grow, we don't do that. So exemplary lifestyle means to come out of the selfish motivation and to set the example so that others are inspired to follow. Yesterday I was hearing one clip. Somebody asked Mr. Donald Trump that in his view, who are the greatest leaders in world scenario today? Who are the greatest leaders in world scenario today? And you'll be surprised. You'll be shocked. What are the names that he said? You know what name he mentioned? Whom did he list the first? Why your unmute is not working? Did you not know? What did he say? Whose name he mentioned?
Jinping.
Huh?
Jinping.
Also Modi. Both of them. He said, Mr. But he spoke a lot more of Mr. Modi than anyone else. That he is a great leader because he is leading and inspiring 1.5 billion people. And he is a selfless person. So a person who is selfless, material people will not support him because of their selfish interest. But in their heart, they will always regard him. They will always regard him because they know that they are nowhere in terms of caliber and competence and character to what the spiritual person is. This I was really appreciating and admiring. That he knows very well that he is nowhere where these personalities are. He may try all his tricks or all his traits, but nothing works. Not even in this world. In his way of functioning. So exemplary leaders are required. So Bhagavad Gita gives us this opportunity to set the example for others to follow by accepting the principles and becoming exemplary. So in our life, we should very carefully choose who is our role model, who is our icon. How can we have so-called uh, media stars or celebrities as our role models? Their heart is filled with all lust and desire. So we should select the spiritual persons, those who are elevated, those who are selfless, those who are free from possessiveness, from personal agenda, from personal interest. Personalities like Srila Prabhupada, who traveled all over the world selflessly to spread Krishna consciousness at the advanced age of 80 years. Why he took so much of trouble just to give this gift to the entire world, so that the sufferings of the countless souls can be eliminated and they can experience real happiness. So a leader, a spiritual leader, he teaches by his own conduct and character. That is why he is called Acharya. Achar means one's own conduct. And sometimes he gives instructions also. And there are so many. If we see this is a very distinguished panel of personalities who have excelled in both the duties, in their occupational duties and also in their spiritual advancement. I know His Grace Rishikesh Prabhu. He is also Rishikesh Mafatlal. He is the chairman and the managing director of the Mafatlal group, a very big group, a very big traditional group. I personally saw both of them, husband and wife. They are practicing devotees. Many years back, when I went to Chapati temple, his wife Mataji was getting the deity dress to pray. Every day they perform their spiritual duty. They chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They perform they observe the four regulative principles. They serve the Hare Krishna community, and they also have such a big business empire, where they have hundreds and thousands of employees who are satisfied. Then you see Mr. T.D. Singh, one of the great scientists. He was a panel member of the United Nations. He had given many books on science and spirituality. So he did so much of contribution in his research, but also he synthesized the spirituality in science. And from today we see Mr. Alfred Ford. He is the owner of the Ford Motors. And he is the one who has taken the responsibility to build up the temple of Vedic planetarium in Mayapur. He has excelled in performing all his duties exceptionally. Then we have Mr. Kenneth Walpe, one of the professors in Oxford. So many. We have Ilan Chester. He is the Grammy Award winner for music. He first met the ISKCON devotees in Israel. And then he went to Venezuela. He was from Venezuela. He was the first devotee in Venezuela. He just got a copy of Bhagavad Gita. And while reading Bhagavad Gita, he started chanting Hare Krishna. And he was spread the Hare Krishna song. His albums, all of it, have become so famous. And we have the very famous celebrity, Mr. George Harrison. He was one of the Beatles. Beatles were a craze in the early 70s. And George, he was one of the lead singers of the Beatles. And he sang many devotional songs. And those devotional songs, they become worldwide, chartbusters. And he spread Hare Krishna Mahamantra all over the world by his singing. And he had a big palace He had a very big palace in London where he used to reside. And while he was living, he donated that palace, and that is one of the biggest temple in our society in Europe. That is the Bhakti Vedant Manor near London. It is in many, many acres. And what to speak of today's personalities? You know Gaur Gopal Prabhu. You heard about Gaur Gopal Prabhu? Vivek Bindra, Dr. Vivek Bindra, so many more. Hema Malini, so many celebrity stars who are following Krishna consciousness. The list is endless. How? They have been performing both their duties. They have repositioned their lifestyle. They're not performing just karma. They're performing karma yoga. All their acts of actions, they have become sacrifice. And by performing sacrifice, they are always in yoga. So by performing action, they are connecting with the Supreme Lord and they are coming closer to Krishna. So this is the art of work. In the second chapter, Krishna says that you should perform the yoga karmasu kaushalam. What is the art of work? That you perform action and you come closer to Krishna. You become liberated and you become happy. So in this way, all these personalities, some of them are mentioned. So very important. So we are at our level, we have some level of leadership. We are either leader in our family, you may be leader in our place of work. If you are student, you may be student leader. If you are parent, mother and father, they are leaders to their children. If you are a manager, you are leader to your subordinates. In this way, everywhere we have the capacity to play the role of a leadership. And if we become a good leader, a leader of character, not just competence, character, a leader who performs sacrifice, then we can make our subordinates also be inspired to perform sacrifice and connect to Krishna, which is yoga. So this is our responsibility, great responsibility that every one of us has, is to perform this leadership role. Then the point comes, why we are not able to do that? What makes it so difficult? What makes it hard? What are the response? Most of the time, the biggest response is that we do not have time. We don't have the time. But who can debate in this world? Who is that person who does not get 24 hours in a day? Everyone is bestowed with the same amount and quantum of time. And then we say there are different aspirations. Our aspiration is our family, our responsibilities, our careers, public opinions. People don't have very high public opinion. Or we feel we are very exhausted or tired. But these are not the real reasons. None of these reasons are the real reasons. These are all, make sure reasons. But there is one real reason which Krishna highlights at the end of the chapter. He says that is the real reason which does not allow one to perform sacrifice or yajna. And what is that reason? Krishna speaks in the 37th verse. I'm going a little fast forward. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashno Mahapapa Vediyenam Hivedinam. So Krishna says that, my dear Arjuna, beware of two things. What is that? That is the forces of lust, which is called Kam, the desire to enjoy unlimitedly and unrestrictedly. And when this desire is not filled, it is turned into wrath or anger. So these two propensities of unlimited desires to enjoy, and when this desire is checkmated or not fulfilled, the anger which comes out. He says this is the sinful enemy. It is the Varinam. Varinam is the enemy. And what it does, it pushes one to perform Mahashno Mahapapa, to perform all kind of sinful activities. So the forces of sin are within. And what is that? That is our Kama and Krodha. The Vegas of Kama and Krodha. The avarice of desire and anger. So this is the biggest challenge or the biggest obstacle in our progress or performance of spiritual life. And how this lust works, very subtle. What the lust does, it covers the real identity of the living. It will not allow the living entity to realize that who he is. Like if you have a mirror, in the mirror, if you stand in front of the mirror, you can see yourself. But if you paint that mirror with black paint and you stand, what can you see? You can see nothing. So what the lust does, it creates a coating over the soul. And this, what are the levels of the coating? The soul's natural propensity, the natural character. Like we have an example of magnet and iron. The iron is naturally attracted by the magnet. If anywhere it comes in the range of magnet, it will be attracted towards the magnet. So similarly, the soul has natural inclination towards the supreme. But if the iron has a coating of rust, if the iron has rust, you bring the magnet near the iron, it will not react. It will not react. So similarly, the soul, which is having the coating of lust, it will not perform yajna. It will not be situated in yoga. Why? Because every time the default setting is that this world is made for me to enjoy. This body is there for me to enjoy. And there are so many sense objects in this world, and through these sense objects, I can enjoy. So again and again, he will be trapped in this. So to remove lust, the covering has to be removed. So this is the natural characteristic of the soul, to have attraction for the Supreme Lord. But when it is transformed by lust, it is never attractive. And Krishna gives 3 levels of the coverings of the lust. And incidentally, first Krishna says, where is the lust residing also? Okay, we'll go to that later. But the first he says that the covering of the lust on the soul, first he compares it with smoke which covers the fire. You have seen many times, particularly in the winter season. People try to have some fire. Those who are especially, those who are having their duties outward, we see in the guards and all, they will try to have some fire so that they can keep themselves warm and heated. But if there is smoke, if there is heavy smoke, then you cannot see the fire. And the second level is mirror covered by dust. Then you cannot see the self. And the third is even more deeper, where the child who is in the womb of the mother is covered by the embryo. You cannot see the child. Can we see the child inside the mother's womb? No. So the first level of covering, the smoke which is covering the fire, it is the minimal. It is the covering is very thin. So what we have to do? If the smoke is there and the fire is not visible, you just do some fanning. You do a little bit of fanning and the smoke will be removed and the fire from inside will be illuminated. So this is in the human race. In the human race, this covering of the lust is minimal. And with a little bit of fanning, what is fanning? Coming in Krishna conscious association. The smoke can be removed and the fire can be seen. And the second level, it is more intense. The mirror covered by dust. It is like animals. Very difficult to make animals become Krishna conscious. And the third level, where the embryo is covered in the womb, it is in the cases of trees and plants. How can we make trees and plants Krishna conscious? Almost impossible. We can do only one thing. One devotee found out a way. What he did, he offered the Mahajal, the water which is offered to Krishna, he put it into the root of the plant so that it can benefit. So this enemy of lust, if we do not limit it, or if we do not restrict it, it can force us to go into the lower species of life, to become an animal. And where this enemy resides, it resides on all the strategic locations of our existence. It resides in the senses. Through the senses, we acquire knowledge, we perform actions. It is there in the sense of our vision, it is there in the sense of our smelling, it is there in the sense of our hearing, all the faculties of the senses. The lust resides. Okay, if the lust is there in the senses, we can remove the lust from the level of mind, because mind is higher than senses. But beware, the maximum impact of lust is in the mind. Where are all the lusty desires coming from? They are coming from the platform of mind. Okay, if the senses and mind both are captured, then still I have one more resort, and that is my intelligence. But unfortunately, even the intelligence is covered by lust. So Krishna says, what we have to do, he tells Arjuna that you have to remove the lust from all the three faculties. How? First, by regulating the senses. If the senses become regulated, your eating, sleeping, mating, and working becomes regulated, then the lust cannot impact you. And how to release the mind? By purifying it, by spiritualizing the mind. How? By daily chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is such a powerful process of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that however the mind will be filled with lusty desires, if we chant this mantra will purify the mind. Like a snake charmer. You know the snake charmer? However poisonous may be the snake, but when the snake charmer comes and he starts to play his veena, his flute, then the snake, it is captured. It is conquered. And how to sharpen the intelligence? By reading the spiritual knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So at all levels, by regulating our senses, by chanting the Mahamantra, and subscribing to the study of Bhagavad Gita, we can remove the impact of lust in our existence. And we can make an offering, any action and every action. This is lust. And the second path was anger, which is wrath. The two examples are given. Even if we have anger, we should utilize it in Krishna's service. Example is Arjuna. He killed all the Kauravas. And Hanuman, he set entire Lanka to fire. So this is the nutshell of the third chapter, where Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to perform action, but action is to be performed to elevate the yoga ladder, to come to the platform of Nishkam Karma Yoga by offering sacrifice, performing every action to become a sacrifice. And the third most important thing he said is to become an exemplary example, is to reposition our lifestyle, that we make our life successful by accepting the principles which Krishna is giving, and we inspire others to perform yajna. And fourth, while performing yajna, be cautious, beware of the greatest enemy, which is lust. And how to conquer lust, we saw through the process of engaging the senses, mind, and intelligence in Krishna's service. So this is the nutshell of the entire nucleus of the third chapter that we discussed. So I'll stop here, and very few are hearing. 6 are there from our group, and 3 Krishnam, Vijay, and DRD. I could not understand who is DRD.
Projects me, that's
So you,
Raghunath.
sorry?
Projects me, that's Raghunath. Yes.
Okay, that's Raghunath. Okay. Hare Krishna. But I am still fortunate because Krishna spoke to one person, that is Arjuna. And I have at least almost 10% here. So, Krishna is very kind. There are very few takers to the message of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I'll stop here. And if you have any question, if you have any doubt, any samshaya, so please come up, please speak. Hare Krishna. It is open for everyone. Whoever has any question can ask. Any doubt, any question, please ask. Krishna, you don't have a question today? You are hearing?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I am hearing the session was really great. Currently, I'm at the Mandir. If you can, I'm not sure if I can show you. Oh, yeah. That's where I am.
Okay, you are enjoying the meal. Very good. You may ask. Unmute. You are muted.
Yeah, it was a great session, and it's always great, enjoying the Bhagavad Gita and with you, stuff really.
Okay, he is enjoying his prasadam at our Tashkent temple. That is the temple hall of Tashkent. Okay, so I'll close here. Thank you very much for your attention. And I hope and I pray that these teachings of Bhagavad Gita will inspire you and enlighten you to be established in yoga and perform action which becomes yajna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanand. Hare Hare.